Racing Club of America. ARCA is one of America's premier stock car racing series. Since 1953, these drivers have thrilled fans across the country, from the high banks of Daytona to the dirt of the DuQuoin Mile. Names like Benny Parsons, Kyle Petty, Curtis Turner, and Darrell Waltrip have all won races in ARCA. The modern-day stars of ARCA showcase their talent next on Fox. The mile-and-a-half Charlotte Motor Speedway jammed with race fans ready to see the ARCA Series take on the track for 100 miles in the EasyCare Certified 100. Welcome to Fox's coverage. We're ready to go racing very quickly. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for the event. 40 cars in the field for tonight's race. On the pole, a local driver from Albemarle, North Carolina, Gary Layton. He's got a Morgan McClure car and engine he is running here. Tim Steele, the ARCA champion, won a dozen races last year in row 1. Matt Hutter, the young driver from Ohio, in row 2, along with ARCA veteran Mark Thompson. Row number 3 will find the NASCAR Winston Cup and NASCAR Busch Series veteran Ed Berrier, World of Outlaws driver Dave Blaney outside him, road racer Jerry Nadeau in the 4th row, alongside him Ohio short tracker Ken Martin. Row 5, Mark Gibson, the ARCA title contender, and on the outside of row number 5, Frank Kimmel, the current ARCA Series point leader. Steve Burns and Mike Hogwood will work with us along pit road during our coverage today. Let's go down there now, beginning with Steve.
Alan, Tim Steele loves this racetrack. He won all 3 races at the ARCA Series, ran down here last year in Charlotte Motor Speedway, the 1.5-mile oval. As you said, he starts on the outside of row 1. He's the defending series champion. Now let's check in with Mike Hogwood.
Gary Layton is your pole sitter, and as Alan mentioned, he is a local driver, cut his teeth at the Concord Speedway. He's won here before in a sportsman race. A Morgan McClure car, yes, it's a car that Sterling Marlin has driven before. That's a Runt Pittman engine under the hood. He has a veteran crew chief in David If. He says he's hoping the driver can keep up with the car. He's going to try to give Tim Steele a battle today.
Getting ready to go racing very shortly. Working with me on the call of tonight's race, 2-time ARCA Series champion Bill Venturini. Bill, a pretty short race, 67 laps. We've heard Tim Steele's the clear favorite. How are these other 39 guys going to beat him?
Pit strategy. This whole race is going to come down to pit strategy. The race is 67 laps, just over the pit window on being able to run for fuel. So some people are going to hope for cautions, need about 15 laps of cautions. If you come in and pit, are you going to put on tires or just gas and go? I think that's going to be the whole key on what it takes to beat the front row. You know, Gary Layton and Tim Steele are quick, and everyone else is going to have to use pit strategy, I think, to do it.
So when we get the cautions, how long they last and so on, when you make your pit stops will be the factors in deciding. Now, you sitting here beside me today have somebody else you're watching in this race besides the overall event.
Oh, yeah, my son Billy Venturini driving the ankle Loctite Brunswick Chevrolet. I'm kind of excited about it. We've had weren't as quick as we wanted to for qualifying, but we got the car better, and I hope he does all right.
And Billy starting this race in the 31st position, so Dad going to be keeping an eye on him while he keeps an eye on the overall race for us. The racetrack, 1.5 miles around, the event 67 laps, some $135,000 plus on the line. And now the pace car heads for pit road. Gary Layton and ARCA champion Tim Steele on the front row. We're ready for the green flag in the EasyCare 100 at Charlotte. On the brake, trouble already off the start in the middle of the field. Cars turning around. One car sitting backwards on the speedway. That is Dan Pardis, the Daytona Beach, Florida driver who is a veteran of the NASCAR Goodies Dash Series. That 18 car there is young Josh Baltes. He's the grandson of Earl Baltes, the owner of the famed Eldora Speedway. He didn't even get to the green flag.
Didn't even get the green flag. It happened even before they got the green flag. Somebody must have checked up. You can see somebody had run in the back of the car, turned them around. They have already dropped the green flag, so I think we're going to have one lap to take.
Here comes the field back around now to the site where the cars are sitting. You see Pardis has fired up and gone to the safety of pit road, and the field now slowing as the caution flag waves, basically before we've even gotten the race underway. They weren't even quite to the start-finish line yet. That dog leg that you're watching cars come through now is before the start-finish stripe, and that's where the accident happened. Let's take another look, see if we can figure out what happened on the break here. Field coming off the corner now. And somewhere there's a contact there.
Okay, you can see the inside row. It was the Blaze Alexander had run into the back of the 42 car, which sent the 42 car back into the outside lane, and that's when it gathered Josh Baltes. So it looked like Blaze was a little quick on the restart and ran into the back end of Dan Pardis, which sent him into the outside wall, which gathered up Baltes. And
couple of others caught up in that as well. Rich Woodland, it looked like, took some damage on the nose of his machine as he went through to the middle of the accident. Here's another look one more time, this from pretty well up close, and you see there already the contact having been made. There's Woodland in the yellow car catching the back end of Pardis's machine. And now the field's actually probably pretty lucky we didn't catch up more cars there, as tight as the field was bunched up for the start. There's Dan Pardis's machine on pit road. Heavy damage front and back. Very halting start to the EasyCare 100 at Charlotte. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Charlotte. The EasyCare 100 under caution right at the green flag. There is the favorite to win the race and the current series champion, Tim Steele, on pit road with problems. Let's go to Steve Burns.
Alan, Tim Steele is in. He's got a flat right side tire. Crew chief Tom Sokolowski and the guys looking at it. There's a lot of smoke coming from the right side. Oh, they're telling us now that he has a broken hub and he has shut the motor off. Tim Steele has shut the motor off.
Yeah, we could see as he was coming down pit road, it wasn't just the flat tire. The whole wheel was tipped in. It looked like either the hub or the rotor was broken, and sure enough, you can see it. Definitely had a little fire. That was a little brake fire that was underneath the hood. So this is going to be a major repair for Tim Steele. He definitely will lose no chance of being able to win this race today.
So Tim Steele, the Michigan driver who won a dozen races on his way to the '96 ARCA Series Championship, and included in those dozen all 3 events held here at Charlotte last year, will not win tonight's race. The clear favorite to win the event on pit road early after an accident as the cars were coming to the green flag. Caught up several, including Tim Steele. Now, kind of hard to figure how he got involved in this. He was on the front row. Let's see if we can tell what happened to Tim Steele as we watch the accident again coming to the green. There you see the cars already beginning to spin after the contact between Blaze Alexander and Dan Pardis. Now Steele's already gone way out in front of this.
I don't think Tim Steele's problem was because of this accident. I think he must have had a problem even before the race started. They didn't catch it.
Down on pit road, Blaze Alexander, the Rookie of the Year from this series last year, who kind of triggered that accident. He's on pit road in front of Mike Hogwood.
And they have bent up the frame on the front end a little bit here. They are trying to cut away some sheet metal now. It is definitely cut a tire. They've changed their tires, and it is going to be a lengthy stop for Blaze Alexander, and any chance he had or hope of winning this race today probably went away there on that first lap.
Tough break for Blaze Alexander, last year's Rookie of the Year, and last year's champion Tim Steele, both involved in an early accident. We'll take a break and be right back to Charlotte. You're looking down on Charlotte Motor Speedway from the Brute Blimp as we bring you coverage of the EasyCare 100 on Fox, and it's been a rugged start to the event so far. Those pictures from above have been about the best looking pictures at the start of this race, because an accident coming to the green flag about a third of the way into the field of 40 drivers has mangled up several cars, a half a dozen to be specific. Tim Steele, Blaze Alexander, the machine of Josh Balt is involved in the accident. Jeff Streeter damaged. Dan Pardis's machine, and Californian Rich Woodland also involved in an accident as they came down to the green flag. Now coming down for the restart. The green flag now to get the event underway at full speed this time. Single file restart, and away they go. It is Gary Layton, the pole sitter, quickly breaking out front. The race on for second position as they work their way into 1 and 2. That's young Matt Hunter on the inside, and he's going to be overtaken on the outside of turns 1 and 2 as they come off the corner. That's Ed Berrier, the veteran of the NASCAR Winston Cup and NASCAR Busch Series, who's now taken over the runner-up spot. That machine of Junior Dunleavy car. And Berrier looking to see if he can't put it in victory lane here in Charlotte tonight. Challenge on for the 4th spot now as they work the double dog leg here at Charlotte. Taking over the 4th spot, Jerry Nadeau, former road racer who's campaigned about 8 NASCAR Busch Series events. In this particular car, machine owned by Richard Jackson
of Precision Products. They're doing a lot of R&D work for them right now. There's the 80 car of Dave Blaney running. I think he's running 5th right now.
Dave Blaney, the World of Outlaws driver, who comes into this event, jumping back and forth on the weekend to his World of Outlaw competition. In that World of Outlaw series, he's 3rd in the championship standings, so he doesn't want to give up a race, but he very much wanted to be here at Charlotte tonight. We'll talk more about Dave a little bit later in the program. Albemarle, North Carolina's Gary Layton, the leader from the pole. This is his first ARCA race.
First ARCA race. Tampico, his Citrus Punch is his sponsor. They're out of Chicago. And him and his family own Concord Motor Speedway.
And Gary wanting to move up a little bit after winning some dozen races at Concord last year. Now, while all this is going on, the favorite to win the race and the ARCA Series defending champion Tim Steele remains on pit road. Let's get an update from Steve Burns.
Alan, Tim Steele is sitting helplessly inside the number 16 car. His problems they found are much worse. They decided to change the entire spindle on the right front, and the brake caliper is also broken. If he gets back out tonight, he won't be a factory.
Bad break for Steele, who has just recently recommitted himself to trying to defend his ARCA Series championship. Had spent a few weeks in the season in the NASCAR Busch Series. Now he's back with his family team. He's on pit road now.
A nice move by Matt Hutter going underneath that barrier coming off of turn 4.
This will be the race for second spot. And Hutter, the son of the legendary engine builder Ron Hutter, will get second.
Looks and he's pulling Jerry Nadeau right with him, right.
Nadeau will try and take over third as barriers caught up on the outside as they work their way down the backstretch.
Oh, you can see the 66 car of Mark Thompson is now running in fourth.
Nadeau sweeping up 5 barriers. They work through 3 and 4 and come off the corner down to complete 9 of the 67 laps that'll make up the distance. Doesn't look like Barrier wants to quite give up that third position so easily.
No, you can see the car is actually the right front corner. It looks like it's bouncing a little going through the second dogleg. They're already starting to lap some of the slower traffic here.
Having to work their way around the David Boggs machine, so that forces Barrier to get back in line. Forces Nadeau to get back in line. Barrier squirts out ahead, and now Nadeau's going to have to hang on to fourth spot. Mark Thompson trying to run up on him. Working their way off turn 4 down to the double dogleg here on the 1.5-mile Charlotte track. Mark Thompson's an interesting character. Mark's business, he runs a business that contracts with the Department of Defense for basically air war simulation.
Yeah, he deals with the Air Force, who's celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. And we happened to see a good air show when we were at Salem at the last ARCA race.
And Mark, with that Air Force 50th anniversary logo on the hood of his machine, he's a contender to win the ARCA Series championship. From Cartersville, Georgia, he's 5th in the standings. Right now, he's locked up in a pretty good race for the 4th and 5th positions.
I think this is the first year that Mark had planned on running the whole season.
Watching Gary Layton make his way around some of the slower traffic. There he goes around Tennessee driver Tim Mitchell.
He just went around Rick Hauser, the Quick Shine 99 car. Had a good qualifying run, first day qualifying. Got caught up in a wreck in practice. Had to take the car back to the shop and put a front clip on it. Brought the car back, and they had to start in the back, and they weren't sure how the car was going to run because they had no practice after they fixed it.
34-year-old Gary Layton from Albemarle, North Carolina, with about a 1-second lead, but still in the early going here at Charlotte. 17 of 67 laps completed in the ARCA EasyCare 100 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Gary Layton in that bright orange number 74 has a lead that was up over a second. It's now down to just a few car lengths over young Ohio driver Matt Hutter. Let's go down to the pits and Mike Hogwood.
He has a veteran crew chief in David Ipp. And David, we were talking earlier, you can't go the whole distance on a load of fuel. What is your strategy here?
If we get a caution anywhere after 30, 35 laps, we're going to come in 4 tires and fuel.
All right, that's your strategy here. What about your driver? What are you telling him right now?
I can't hear you.
What are you telling your driver right now?
Nothing right now. We're just trying to get around these lap cars, and Matt Hutter's another one. He's about even with us. I think we only got 1 car to race unless they get a caution and some of these others adjust and get faster.
All right, watch out for Matt Hutter as you hear from David Iff.
What has David Iff done to help Gary Layton here this first time in an ARCA car here at Charlotte?
Oh, David Iff's experience is, when I won my Super Speedway race at the Old Texas World Speedway, he was my crew chief for me. He brings knowledge, keeps the driver calm, I'll tell you that. Being a young driver, Gary Layton, first time out, nice to have a crew chief that keep him calm.
Matt Hutter works for the Phoenix Racing Team, that car that he's driving here. On their NASCAR Busch Series effort, he carries the right front tire during pit stops. Matt Hutter right now doing a fine job in one of several drives on the ARCA circuit he'll get this season for the Phoenix team. Well, it looks like Tim Steele's day may be over. Steve Burns is with the ARCA Series champion.
Tim, I see you guys working hard on the car. What's wrong, and can you get back in the race?
You know, I broke the hub or something happened in front of the car, and it's just too bad. We had the HSI some way course under. It was awesome, you know. It's just too bad. You know, we're going to get back out there and go and get some points. You know, this just sucks, I guess you could say. But we'll get back out there, and we'll come back Wednesday and get them.
Well, I think that pretty much sums it up, Alan.
Yeah, that's pretty blunt feelings there for Tim. He had high hopes of winning this race. That was a brand new car that he brought out here, and unfortunately he won't get the chance at being in victory lane tonight. I would say, Bill, that with Tim behind the wall, a lot of other drivers probably feel like they have a whole lot better chance to win than they did at the start of the race.
Oh, sure. The third and fourth place cars right here are Jerry Nadeau and Barrier. You know, that the rabbit, so to speak, that everyone was worried about chasing is gone. Gary Layton and Matt Hutter are definitely setting a pretty fast pace right now, but at least it's taken that mental strategy, that mental worry that everyone had about how are they going to beat Tim Steele. You know, they don't have to worry about that now. Now they're running their own race.
Watching Ed Barrier in a Ford and Jerry Nadeau in a Pontiac race for position. This would be for the 4th and 5th positions on the racetrack, and Barrier with just a car length or so in front of the young driver from Connecticut. Nadeau originally, now living just outside of Charlotte here, and Nadeau spending much time last season on the European road racing circuits. Here he is back onto the NASCAR type racetracks in the stock car series, and hoping that he can find some sponsorship to run the entire NASCAR Busch Series next season and continue pursuing a stock car career. We heard Tim Steele talk about Wednesday. We'll be back here at Charlotte on Wednesday night. The ARCA Series running twice here at Charlotte tonight and again on Wednesday. We'll be back here with Wednesday night's race for you as well here on Fox Sports. Look forward to bringing that to you. Tim Steele will no doubt have a great deal of revenge in mind for that race. Back to the leader now, Gary Layton, who continues to hold about a 0.3 of a second advantage on Matt Hutter. That seems to grow or shrink in lap traffic, and here as they try and get around Mike Cicchetti's car, it shrunk quite a bit. Why is that?
Like we said, it's got to do with experience. It's got to do with coming up on the slower cars and in traffic. Gary Layton, this is his first time. Granted, he's raced here with the Sportsman Series, but like he said, coming in, when we talked to him earlier, coming into the corners at 185, 190 miles an hour versus 150 or 60, things happen a whole lot faster. And Matt's been running ARCA now. This is his 2nd year, and he's got a little more accustomed to running in traffic. But you can see the minute they get clear that Gary seems to kind of just pull away from it.
So it kind of depends where they catch the lap traffic on the Speedway, and it's not a bad thing for Gary to be a little more cautious around the lap cars.
When you have a car like that you can run up front, you know you've got the equipment and the crew and everything behind you, you've got to be conservative. Even though it's only a 67-lap race, it's still considered a long race for him.
26 laps complete now for the race leaders of the 67 in the distance here tonight. Again, expecting one stop for fuel and tires somewhere during the course of the event. We talked at the top of the broadcast about how everybody's strategy was set up to beat Tim Steele. Do you see any of that tire and fuel strategy changing with him out of the race, or do you think now it's basically just run your plan out?
No, the strategy is still the same. You still got the quick cars up front, the 5th, 6th, 7th place cars. They've got to do something different to catch him. And again, it's going to be strategy. Now, David If said that they were figuring out any caution after 30. What if there's not a caution?
Yeah.
Then we'll see. We'll decide what's he going to do. Is he going to pit him or not?
Back with more of the EasyCare 100 at Charlotte in just a minute on Fox. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the EasyCare 100 for the ARCA Series, reaching its midpoint now. It is Gary Layton in that bright orange number 74 from Albemarle, North Carolina, with about a 1-car length lead on Ohio driver Matt Hutter, pursuing him as they basically have worked their way from surviving an accident as they came to the green flag in the middle of the field that has eliminated the favorite for the race, Tim Steele. Now those two drivers thus far opening up about a 2-second advantage on 3rd place running Mark Thompson as they try to settle this race among themselves if they can. Number of cars behind the wall in the early going. We mentioned Tim Steele is behind the wall. Josh Baltus is behind the wall. Blaze Alexander, Rich Woodland, all involved in that earlier accident. Kirk Shelmerdine, Ron Fellows, and Billy Venturini has just gone behind the wall. Tell me what happened to your son's car, if you've gotten word yet.
Well, from what I've heard, it looks like we had some engine problems. I haven't really had any contact with them, but we'll find out after we're back in the pits.
Looking at the interval back from the front 2 now to 3rd place, Mark Thompson. Again, a little bit over 2.5 seconds or so. And Mark is hanging with him, but he's not gaining on him any.
Well, I'm sure this is kind of Mark's strategy. His crew chief, Donnie Strait, which is Bob Strait's brother, who Bob Straight's driving for Jack Bowser right now, but I'm sure Donnie's letting Mark get in the field, get in the groove, and run his own race. Mark's that type of a driver. He seems to qualify good. Beginning of the race kind of settles in, gets comfortable. Towards the end of the race, he's usually a big factor up front.
And again, remembering that these drivers will have to make a pit stop somewhere in the event, hoping maybe his crew can take advantage of that later on. There you see that 18 car. That's Josh Baltus back on the Speedway after being involved in that lap number 1 accident. He's the grandson of Earl Baltus, who owns the famed Eldora Speedway in Ohio.
Yeah, I can see Dan Partis was back out too after that wreck.
Watching the leaders as they work through a pretty heavy pack of traffic down in turns 1 and 2. Watching the lead cars work their way around that number 20 machine. That 17-year-old Jeff Streeter, a junior in high school, missing his prom to be here racing in Charlotte tonight. And there's Tim Steele back on the racetrack, and he's running many laps down now after being involved in that accident. Steele is 31 laps down to the race leaders.
And what Tim's doing right now, all Tim is doing is getting the car set up to run the race for Wednesday. He knows he doesn't have a chance to stay, but now he can go out and see how the car will run in a long run and through traffic. And he'll probably show that he can run back up front.
And also hoping to pick up some championship points if anybody else might fall out in the latter stages of the event. Matt Hutter looks to be pretty content to stay with Gary Layton here. He's had the nose up to his bumper a couple of times. He looks to be content to just ride there in second for now and let Layton set the pace.
Well, I agree. That'd be a smart move. I don't know if he can pass him or not. We may find out pretty shortly, because now all of a sudden he's kind of giving a run going into one. But I think Matt's the type of a young driver that he's learning as he goes along, and I think it's a good position to stay in second and run up there.
And they work their way around the outside of the Bob Strait machine. And Hutter again in that traffic, closing right up on Layton's bumper. They work their way to the outside of David Boggs in that 76 machine. And get a little free racetrack as they come off the corner and down to the start-finish line.
You can see they're setting a pretty fast pace here. They've already started the lap. I think it was the 22nd place car right now.
168.
I take that back.
168 miles an hour. They have lapped up to the 18th place machine now. Bob Strait running in 18th as the leaders went by him a minute ago. 168.3 miles an hour last lap by for the leaders, and considering that they qualified for the pole in this event at what, just about 180 miles an hour or so, that's not a bad race pace at all.
No, to be running at what they've got 38 laps on the tires, and the car's getting light because it's getting light on fuel. They're running pretty good lap speeds right now.
Now, if we don't get another caution, how far can they go before they have to come in for fuel?
Well, our pit window we had figured was about 57 laps. So it depends. We had a couple yellows at the beginning, so you're talking maybe, probably you can go to lap 62. But they're still they have not got to the window where we've had enough yellows where you can go without a pit stop.
Looking back from the front two to third place, Mark Thompson back in the 66 car. You see Thompson right there at the start-finish line, lapping the traffic now. Mike Hogwood is in Mark Thompson's pit.
And Mark Thompson is running third, but he's just hanging there right now. He says his car is a little bit off. They're going to make a major air pressure adjustment when they come in and get fuel and change tires. And he thinks they make that adjustment, he'll have what it takes to go up and battle with the leaders. Mark Thompson's convinced he's got the car that can win this race here today.
Tell me about an air pressure adjustment. What is changing the air pressure on a tire?
With the radial tires that we've been using for the last couple of years, 2 or 3 pound air pressure change is a big difference in the car. If the car is loose, you can change the air pressure over 2 or 3 pounds, and it'll make the car go from being loose to being tight.
These are radial racing tires from Hoosier on the cars here tonight as you watch Matt Hutter continue pursuing Gary Layton in the orange number 74, the race leader. He has been the leader from the drop of the green flag, started on the pole. Tim Steele, who started on the outside of the front row, you've seen him back on the racetrack now, but he's running many laps down to the lead cars. And Hutter, who started this race on the inside of row number 2, has been with him from the drop of the green flag. A little bit farther back than he is now at times. It looked like Hutter's car just wiggled pretty good there.
Well, he got real down low on when I actually went underneath the white line here. We've got Shane always running a pretty good race.
Shane right now running in the 9th position. Shane from Gray, Georgia, and the machine that he owns himself. He's being pursued by Ohio short track driver Ken Martin. Ken from the Cleveland, Ohio area, 36-year-old. Hasn't got all that many super speedway races under his belt, but he's putting a good effort in for himself here tonight.
That car, that's an ex-Bob Shack car. Bob Shack sold him the car and is maintaining and crewing it for him. So we've got to...
That's Sammy Potashnik, who's got into the wall in turn 4. The 22-year-old originally from Missouri. The car coming to a halt up against the outside retaining wall. The caution flag is waving for the second time in the EasyCare 100. And a tough break there for Potashnik. He is up into the outside wall, bringing out the yellow flag for the second time in the race. Expect this will bring all the leaders to pit road for their tire and fuel service that they'll need to complete the distance very shortly, as Gary Layton and Matt Hutter slow for the yellow flag at the start-finish line, having completed 44 of 67 laps that will make up the EasyCare 100. Caution coming at this time, a big break for some teams?
Oh, definitely. All the pit strategy gets thrown out of the window now. Everyone will probably come in pit. You have to now come in pit, put on some tires, get some gas, and then we'll have a shootout for the end.
There you look at the leaderboard going to the caution flag. Gary Layton, Matt Hutter, Mark Thompson, Ed Berrier, and Jerry Nadeau. As you look at young Sammy Potashnik sitting in his car up against the outside wall. Sammy based here in the Charlotte area, though originally from Missouri, and he flattened out the right side of that car.
You can see the whole side of the car has been flattened out from hitting the wall. Not only got the right front tire, got the right rear wheel also.
So as he works his way down off the racing surface and toward his pit, probably behind the wall, the leaders will come back around now to the entrance of pit road, and we expect all of the front runners to come down for service as they work their way now into turn 3 and work their way back around to come and make their service. Now when they do stop, it will be with what, 33 laps to go, 23 laps to go in the race, so everybody should be pretty fresh for a sprint to the finish there.
Oh yeah, definitely. The pits will be open this time by, so everyone should be coming in. Only cars on the lead lap are allowed to come in on the first lap.
If you're one of the guys back around 7th, 8th, 9th position like Andy Hillenberg, would you take a chance on 2? We'll find out in a minute. First, here comes the leader, Gary Layton, in for his pit service with all the other front runners in behind him. Mike Hogwood is in the leader's pit. Let's follow his stop now.
Gary Layton told his crew he was a little bit loose, getting a little loose. David Liv decided to put a round of wedge in to tighten it up, and then just as he turned on pit road, Gary Layton radioed into his crew chief and said, leave it alone, leave it alone. He's going to go the rest of the race with the car as it is.
You can see
they're putting 4 tires on the car. They filled it with fuel. Now down to Steve Burns.
And Matt Hutter, the second place car, is in. Now he's got almost an all-star crew. Chocolate Myers, the gas man for Dale Earnhardt, is filling in. A lot of the Morgan McClure guys from the Sterling Marlin's teams, they're having a problem though. They're blocked in, and Hutter cannot turn the wheel to get the car out of the pits. He's blocked in by the 46 car of Frank Kimmel. You can see now they're pushing him back, and this could cost him some track position.
It's going to cost him a lot of track position. Matt Hutter with a chance to come away from the pit stops with the lead. He may have some further troubles in that. Steering the car. We'll follow up on that when we come back to Charlotte under the caution flag on pit stops. And Matt Hutter trying to get away, finally does. We'll be back to find out where he resumes in the running order in just a minute at Charlotte. Looking down on the Charlotte Motor Speedway from the Brute Blimp. Some beautiful overhead shots on a magnificent evening for racing here in the Carolinas. And thousands of fans, matter of fact, estimated at over 100,000 fans jamming into the Charlotte Motor Speedway to see the EasyCare 100 for the ARCA Series. Onto the second caution flag of the event, the yellow waving at lap 43 of 67 after Sammy Potashnik got into the wall in turn 4. The cleanup just about complete. All the leaders were in for their stops under this caution flag. And we will reset the restart order for you in just a moment. There, we are looking at Billy Venturini's car that my partner here, Bill, is not happy to see back in the garage.
Not happy to see that. We were looking forward to a good run. We had picked up some good sponsorship for this race. We were excited about running tonight. Maybe coming back on Wednesday. We'll have to wait until I get home tonight and see how bad the damage is.
Tough break for Billy, who right now looks like is going to finish back in the 38th position. Pace car getting ready to head for pit road. On the restart, it will be Martin in the 75 car. Ken Martin, who will be the leader, and he will be a couple back in traffic as things get set to cycle around. Matter of fact, it'll be Perry Tripp who's the leader in that white number 6 car. He's got Tim Steele to his inside trying to get a lap back. Then Andy Hillenberg in the 11 is racing him for the lead. The 66 of Mark Thompson is also in there in that strap for the lead, as is the 01 of Nadeau. And there you see the 74 of Layton, who led the first 44 laps of the event before the pit stops.
And Perry Tripp, who's leading the race, we were here testing 2 weeks ago, and he wrecked that car. He brought that car back home. Had to put a front and rear clip on it and a whole new body. Brought it back. Didn't even get here for first day qualifying. Made second round qualifying. And and he's leading the race right now.
Right now, out in front of the event, there you see Mark Thompson having made his way by Andy Hillenberg, as did Jerry Nadeau in the 01. So it is the 6 of Tripp out in front. Tim Steele not on the lead lap. He's many laps down after being involved in an accident on the very first lap of the race. Back on the Speedway, he's many laps down. Tripp in the 6, Thompson in the 66 right behind him. It looks like Perry wants to find his way around there.
Yeah, Perry's getting a little racy right now, which is, I'm glad to see that. Oh, it comes across the dirt through the first dog leg. Actually got him a little sideways. He had to push up a little too high up to the wall. Mark Thompson looked underneath him, but looks like Jerry Nadeau is giving Mark Thompson everything he can.
I was had a few Mark Thompson and some of those other guys right behind Perry Tripp. When a guy hangs those left side wheels into the dirt, it's not a pretty sight to see that cloud of dust come over.
Nah, yeah, it kind of gets your attention real quick.
I bet so. Perry Tripp, the race leader in a car he just finished rebuilding, and now a challenge for the lead. Here's Mark Thompson looking low. Thompson going to draw up alongside and by at the stripes to put Mark Thompson out in front of the race. He'll be the 3rd different leader. Now the race is on for 2nd. That's Nadeau in the 01.
And you can see the 4th car in line right now is that Gary Layton, that 74 car. And he's actually caught the pack now, and everyone's running bumper to bumper with Tim Steele pulling down the back straight.
17 laps to go for Mark Thompson, the race leader now in that 66. He doesn't have much of an advantage over Nadeau, and there's Gary Layton trying to make his way around for 3rd to the bottom side of Perry Tripp off of turn number 4. He will complete that pass at the start-finish line, and Layton very much still in the hunt for the win.
Oh, yeah, right now I'd say you've got probably 4 or 5 guys that have a good shot at running and winning this race. Pit strategy is totally out the window now. It's left up to the drivers.
Matt Hutter, we saw going into the pits a moment ago into the caution as the 2nd place driver in line, and we watched during his pit stop as he had difficulties getting away. Steve Burns tells us from the pit that he couldn't get the car into 1st gear. Matt Hutter back right now in the 11th position, watching him try and come up through traffic in that number 1 car. That's Frank Kimmel, the current series championship leader, right behind him in the red number 46. 19-year-old Kevin Ray in that car that looks a lot like Richard Petty's right behind him. That's a pretty good reason it looks a lot like Richard Petty's.
The Richard Petty Driving School, 1-800-BEAT-PETTY. That's his sponsor, Kevin Ray, and actually my son Billy are both instructors at the Richard Petty Driving School. On that pit stop, what happened with Matt Hutter was pitting in front of him was the Frank Kimmel car. And when Frank came in, Frank didn't come in straight, had the car kind of sideways in his pit, which blocked the exit for Matt Hutter. They had to push him backwards. When Matt tried to put it back in 1st gear, he couldn't find 1st gear and got the car stalled. As he dropped from 2nd, I think he came out in like 13th out of pit, so he lost 12 spots.
Now running up into the 9th position, there you look at Mike Cicchetti in the 17. He's not on the lead lap, and right behind him in that 56 car, that's Bill Whittemore. Bill's an interesting story. He is the president of the Indiana Steel Company, the co-rookie of the year on the ARCA circuit back in 1995. A very fine racetrack.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Frank Kimmel, he used to be Frank Kimmel's sponsor a couple years ago. He decided he didn't want to spend his money just being the sponsor. He wanted to get behind the wheel, and he's doing a good job of it.
Back up front, there's Mark Thompson, the race leader, 0.7 of a second to Jerry Nadeau at times, but just like we saw with Layton and Hutter a little while ago, depends where they are with the lap traffic.
Yeah, the lap traffic's playing a big part right now in how everyone's getting through it right now. You can see they come off the corner. I just noticed that Gary Layton looked like he had a little smoke coming off the right front tire coming off of the 4th corner.
Gary Layton in that bright orange number 74, the pole sitter, led the first 44 laps of the race. Now he looks like he's drawing into the back of Nadeau in that white Pontiac for 2nd spot. Different lines there off turn number 2 for the race leader and the 2nd place driver.
Funny you should say that. I was just thinking the same thing. You can see Mark Thompson's running a much higher line going through 1 and 2. And Gary Layton and Jerry Nadeau are running. Oh, we've got a crash.
Wall on the front straightaway. That would be Rick Hauser in the 99 and Sammy Potashnik off into the grass in the 65. Caution flag waving as the leaders come to the stripe and take the yellow flag for the 3rd time in the race with just 11 laps to go. Tough break for Hauser, who has already had some troubles earlier this weekend.
Yes, I feel sorry for him. They really worked hard over the last couple days. I don't think they slept for 2 days fixing their car because he crashed it in practice. Didn't quite see what had happened. Maybe we're going to see on the replay. And Sammy, this is the 2nd time Sammy's been involved in a wreck.
So Rick Hauser from Tallahassee, Florida, is into the wall on the front straightaway, along with Sammy Potashnik, who spun into the tri-oval grass, puts us under the caution flag with 11 laps to go in the race. Here's a look at the beginning of what happened off turn 4.
I can't tell if he got hit or not. You can see
Well, it looked like maybe the car that got into him, I believe that's Mark Gibson, has the nose wrinkled up a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
I think maybe Mark just came off the corner a little too fast, got into the back of Rick Hauser, who then turned Rick into Sammy.
And you see the window net down on Rick's car. He's okay, but we are under the caution flag. Inside of 11 laps to go in the EasyCare 100 at Charlotte. Back for the finish in a minute. Back at Charlotte, looking down on the mile-and-a-half track from the Brute Blimp as the EasyCare 100 closes in on the checkered flag. Right now, 10 laps to go. We're under caution for the third time in the race after Rick Hauser and Sammy Potashnik crashed off turn 4. There's Dave Blaney, the World of Outlaws driver, currently showing in this race in 13th position. Blaney's becoming a regular here at Charlotte. For a former Outlaw champion, running ARCA's pretty much part of a bigger picture. Dave Blaney is a Pennzoil World of Outlaws frontrunner week in and week out on dirt tracks across the country. Like other Outlaw champions, Steve and Mark Kinzer and Sammy Swindell, Blaney is branching out.
I tell you, the sprint car racing is awful good, and if I do that the rest of my career, I'm not going to be upset. But there's, I really like this type of racing down here, and if I can get laps here and get some racing in this ARCA series where there's no pressure for me to run well from anybody. It's not a big pressure thing. So if I can come here and get laps in Stan's car and get good equipment, good enough where I can run up front with it and learn from these guys. So if something happens down the road and we get an opportunity with Stan's team here or with somebody else, I'll have these laps under my belt.
Dave Blaney making a pretty good showing for himself. It's got to be a difficult thing for a guy to get out of a sprint car that's a whole lot lighter with basically as much, if not more, power than one of these cars. Yeah. And get into one of these race cars.
The biggest problem everyone has adjusting with the ARCA cars is the weight. They're 3,400 pounds, just like the Winston Cup cars. They don't turn like a late model or like a sprint car. You go into the corner, and they definitely want to push up to the wall. It takes a big adjustment to get used to that, and Dave's doing an excellent job adjusting.
Closing in on the finish of the EasyCare 100 at Charlotte. We'll be right back. About a half a lap ago before the green flag to settle the EasyCare 100 at Charlotte. Mark Thompson, the leader. Jerry Nadeau right behind him in second. Can he do anything with the race leader to try and get the win for himself? Mike Hogwood is in his pit.
He's told his crew he can do just that. They had a great pit stop, which got him up into second place. And Jerry Nadeau says his car has gotten better as this race has gone on. He thinks when they go green that he can get that 66.
Richard Jackson team with that 01 car for Jerry in this race. Right now in second position behind Mark Thompson, a veteran of ARCA competition. And then there's Gary Layton, the pole sitter with a fast race car, but not a lot of experience.
You've got
third.
Two rookies running second and third. Rookies to ARCA, I should say. And but they've got good equipment, good fast cars. They're going to give Mark Thompson a good run for his money. I think it's going to be hard to get Mark. Mark's been waiting a long time for his first Super Speedway win, and I think it's going to be hard to take it away from him.
Got 4 second-place finishes. Can he move that up a notch? Here's the restart. 7 laps to go as the green waves.
Well, Nadeau is definitely staying right with him, going through the first corner.
And Tim Steele, several laps down to the inside, moving over, letting the lead couple by to race for the win. Nadeau going to take a lower line off of turn 2.
Barry just went around the outside of Gary Layton coming off of turn 2.
So Barrier up into the third position now with the lap car of Tim Steele between himself and the front 2. And here's Nadeau taking very much a lower line off the corners. Danny is Mark Thompson, but he doesn't appear to gain a lot with that lower line.
No, it seems to bog the motor down just a little, change in the RPMs. But you can see Mark is running a little higher line, keeping the car a little more free, keeping the RPMs higher in the engine.
5 laps to go, and they come back to the start-finish line. Next time by Mark Thompson, Cartersville, Georgia veteran who's never won an ARCA Series race, though he has tried and come very close many times, looking for his first win. And young Jerry Nadeau, the veteran road racer, trying to crack into NASCAR racing, and here in the ARCA Series, running the event of his life thus far, at least in a stock car, with a second-place run, trying to see if he can find a way into victory lane.
And you can see Tim Steele moved over and let Gary Layton go by. Real nice, courteous move to let the 4 guys run for the win.
Third place driver is Ed Berrier. He is right behind Nadeau. You caught a glimpse of him there when they came off turn number 2. As we look back now, there's Nadeau back in second. He's fallen a couple of car lengths off of the back bumper of Thompson.
Yeah, I think Mark might have been holding back just a little, but it looks like Ed Berrier is showing a lot of run. He's coming on the outside.
Here's Berrier, the Winston-Salem, North Carolina driver. Up on the outside, going for the second spot, and then number 94, he will get the second spot. Now the question is, does he have enough time to catch and pass the race leader? They're inside of 4 laps to go.
Well, it looks like he's got a good run again coming off the corner. The two Fords are definitely seem to be hooking up and running good.
Looking at both Nadeau and Gary Layton staying with the front 2. There's the pole sitter going for third up underneath Nadeau now. Layton in the 74. Try to see if he can get around. The handling should be going away on Nadeau's car.
Nadeau went into the corner way too low going into 3. The car pushed right in the center, and Gary Layton was just waiting for it, snuck underneath it.
So Layton acquitting himself well in his first ARCA Series race here at Charlotte, running third now. But in that race, as they got side by side, they've fallen a pretty good distance back off the front 2, as you see there. So it looks like it'll be 2 cars that'll settle it anyway, as we watch the race for third between Layton in the orange 74 and Nadeau in that white 01. 2 laps to go for the race leaders as they come to the start-finish line. And we look back up front. It is Mark Thompson, the veteran, 45 years old, from Cartersville, Georgia, in the 66 car, trying to hold on and score his first ARCA Series win. He's up now by about 2 car lengths on Ed Berrier, another veteran from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Now they've got some lap traffic ahead of them. There's Sammy Potashnik dropping all the way down. You might have caught a glimpse of him waving with his hand there, motioning the leaders to go to his outside.
Yeah, he was giving the signal that he was moving down. I think Mark's got a pretty good lead. Ed's going to have his hands full. He may be able to catch him, but I don't think he's going to be able to get past Mark, even if he can't catch him.
White flag, last lap for Mark Thompson on his way to victory lane. If he can manage it around for about another 3/4 of a mile, he's off turn 2 and onto the back straightaway.
I'm glad to see it. Mark's been really a strong supporter of ARCA. He's been racing with him almost as long as I've been racing with ARCA, and I'm glad to see he's running up front.
One more corner, and the checkered flag will be in sight as Thompson comes into the shadows of the grandstand and into the dogleg. He can see the flag from there, and Mark Thompson wins the EasyCare 100 at Charlotte, 2 car lengths over Ed Berrier, and a very happy crew, scoring his first win in the ARCA Series after many, many years of trying. Great to see the 50th anniversary Air Force logo on the hood of that car, and they're going to go to victory lane in the debut of that logo ever being seen anywhere in the United States. Thompson's going to take him to the winner's circle here at Charlotte. Great win for Mark Thompson. We'll be back to talk with the winner and take a look at the finishing order from tonight's race in just a minute. Mark Thompson from Georgia headed to victory lane tonight. The EasyCare 100 for the ARCA Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway is over. Mark Thompson is in victory lane. Took the lead late in the race off a series of pit stops. Got out front shortly after that. Nice drive for Mark. What'd you think?
Oh, definitely. I guess the tire pressure change they made in the pits definitely helped. I'm glad to see it. It's Mark Thompson's first ARCA win ever. Good supporter of ARCA. Made the race interesting. I thought Gary Layton ran a good, clean race along with Ed Berrier and Jerry Nadeau, and we've got I guess we're going to be down to Steve and interview Mark Thompson right now.
A very happy winner in victory lane. Let's go there now with Steve Burns.
And Mark Thompson just taking the steering wheel off. Mark, you've been knocking on the door for a long time. How does it feel?
It feels great, because you're right. I've been knocking on the door for a long, long time. It just feels great to be here.
And to win at a big track like Charlotte Motor Speedway must be special.
I tell you what, I love winning at Charlotte. You've got all these people here. It's a great track. It's a great facility. I am thrilled to death. I gotta give it to my crew. They did a wonderful pit stop. They set the car up good all week. Donnie Strait, Bob Bissinger, all the rest of the guys. I mean, they just did a wonderful job. And I had a great spotter. I had Darrell Waltrip's spotter. Rick did a good job.
Yeah, that's not too shabby. Hey, Mark, describe your emotions. As you said, you've been so close, leading many of these races, and to finally be here in victory lane, your emotions tonight.
I'm real happy. I think it'll probably hit me a little bit later because it has been a long time. And I need to thank the Air Force. You know, we ran the Air Force sticker up on the hood. This is normally the Midway car, but it's the 50th anniversary of the Air Force. We're thrilled to be able to carry that decal on the hood of the car. It's a wonderful outfit. So I'm thrilled to have won my first time with the Air Force on the hood too.
Mark, after the last caution, did you feel like you had enough to hold off the rest of the contenders?
I really didn't know. You know, the 74 car was awfully strong early on, and I didn't know how he was going to be on those other tires. I hoped I did, and I guess I did.
All right, let's take a look at how the rest of the field finished. Mark Thompson in victory lane.
Okay, we're back here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We'll give you the official results here. We've got Mark Thompson winning his first ever ARCA Super Speedway race. NASCAR Busch Series driver Ed Berrier finishes a very good second. You got third was Gary Layton, and fourth Matt Hutter, Perry Tripp. Frank Kimmel finished in seventh. Mike Swaim, NASCAR driver, finishing what did we have? We had seventh, we had eighth, we had Martin in ninth, we got 11th, Mark Gibson. Kevin Ray finished 12th. Dave Blaney, good run there. Mike Chiacchetti finished in 17th. Mosier and Stahl at 19th. Jimmy Kitchens, again, 26th. 21st, Jeff Streeter. Neil Cunningham from England finishing 22nd. David Hall. And we've got Steve Burns back in with the crew, winning crew chief.
Thanks, Bill. To Bob Bissinger, the crew chief. Hey, I saw a couple of teared up eyes down here. This is an emotional victory for you guys.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. We've worked real hard. I can't say enough about Mark's driving, the crew chiefs, the crew, everything about it. Everything's came together. We're really working hard to get this done.
And how about winning at a facility? The grandstands are packed here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
It's pretty awesome. It's really fun. I got to thank everybody involved: Midway Island, Phillips 66, Granger. A lot of people have helped us get here. And I'd like to take a moment to recognize the 50th anniversary of the United States Air Force. We're saluting to them this week. So this is for everybody in service too.
Well, congratulations. It was a great victory. The Mark Thompson team celebrating here, victory lane at a packed Charlotte Motor Speedway. For Alan Bestwick, Bill Venturini, Mike Hogwood, I'm Steve Burns saying goodbye from the Charlotte Motor Speedway as Mark Thompson celebrates with his crew in victory lane, the big race in front of a huge crowd. Good night, everyone.